Welcome to the Sports Machine. Brian and Dean. November the 5th. Recording in Dallas. Got a lot of good stuff for you today. College football playoff. Some questionable decisions. We got some NBA talk. NFL. The Heisman race. Is it over? Has Fournette finished it off? And the Thursday night football preview. Cleveland at Cincinnati. And of course, somebody's going to get really low. I guess we'll just get started with the college football playoff. Clemson number 1. Surprised?
Very surprised. I know they played a very good Notre Dame team at the beginning of the season and had a 2-point win. But I didn't expect them to jump Ohio State. Like I've said time and time again, until someone beats the man, they are the man. Meaning, Ohio State stays number 1 until someone beats them. Period. This was my problem last year with the college football playoff ranking when they kept taking Florida State, moving them from 1 to 4 to 2 to 3. At the time, they hadn't lost not a single game in almost 2 years.
Which is why I think maybe we shouldn't be surprised. But at the same time, I agree with you. Ohio State should be number 1, at least until someone gets close.
Right.
Like they've struggled in some games, but it hasn't just been close.
Right.
Where you thought they were going to lose.
But even then, it's like when you're a champion, anybody you play want to see how they measure up against you. So you're going to get their best punch and then some. Best punch, best kick, best elbow, best headbutt. Teams are coming out there with everything they got to beat you because you are the measuring stick at which teams measure themselves up to. So you're going to get a team's best when you're the national champion, when you have that target on your back. And I tend to think that this playoff committee of 12, someone's forgetting it. All of them, they're forgetting that.
Do you think the J.T. Barrett situation and Cardale Jones may have played a factor in the decision not to have them number 1?
J.T. Barrett, after the first loss to Virginia Tech earlier in last season, J.T. Barrett righted the ship, got injured, and Cardale Jones finished off. If there's anything, they should let them know. That should let them know that either way, at the quarterback position, they're going to be fine. I think the problem with J.T. Barrett and Cardale Jones this year, they both were playing to not make mistakes. Where it was prior to last year, J.T. Barrett knew he had the team barring major injury. When Cardale Jones was playing last year for the injured J.T. Barrett, he knew that was his team. All he had to do was maintain. Bus driver it. So this year, I guess what I'm trying to break down to and get to the point is, Urban Meyer made a mistake of quarterback carouseling so early on in the season. Should have been one guy's job and one guy's job only. Stick with it.
All right, number 2, they had LSU. I don't think there's any problem with LSU.
Nah, I don't either. Best running back in the country. Tearing up the league. Heisman watch, which we'll get into that talk a little later.
I actually thought LSU should have been ahead of Clemson. I mean, if we're talking about strength of schedule, I understand Clemson played Notre Dame, which they have ranked 5th.
Right.
But I still felt as if LSU has proven more. I mean, Clemson, no offense to the ACC, but in offense to the ACC, not necessarily the best conference.
Right.
In the NCAA.
And let's not forget, Clemson beat Notre Dame without their best starting quarterback. Just want to throw that out there. Zaire's a good quarterback, and they lost him. Now, Notre Dame's backup quarterback is good, but he's no Malik Zaire.
Apparently, he's good enough to be ranked 5th.
Yeah.
Number 4, Alabama, a one-loss team, jumping over Baylor, Michigan State, TCU, Iowa, all undefeated teams. Any problem with Alabama somehow getting in there at 4?
I didn't until you brought up a good point earlier about before the show you was talking about Florida and how Florida dominated Ole Miss. We all knew that, but what we didn't know was if Ole Miss can right the ship and win out, they'll be playing off in the SEC championship game, not Alabama.
So Alabama can win out and still not win the SEC. Even beat LSU.
Exactly. So it's like, well, that's quite a pickle to be in, right?
I didn't think, even if that scenario wouldn't play out, I don't think a one-loss Alabama team should be ahead of an undefeated Baylor, especially Michigan State,
Right.
and TCU
Right.
and Iowa teams.
Right.
Maybe Iowa and Baylor and TCU because their schedules thus far have not been that strong, but Michigan State hasn't done anything to lose that 4th spot when they're undefeated.
Right.
I mean, Michigan isn't no slouch.
No.
They're not great, but they've proven that they are capable of winning big games.
Because their one loss at the time came to at the time before the playoff, I guess you call it the AP poll, AP and coaches poll, that was a top 3, top 4 team at the time before their loss.
Utah in the college football playoff rankings dropped to 12, and Stanford comes in at 11. It's the top Pac-12. Is the Pac-12 being cheated a little bit?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Stanford lost to Northwestern.
And Northwestern does that every season. They look like a strong team, look like they can finally get in the mix, and then turn around and lose big, like they did at home, and then fall off the face of the earth.
Moving into maybe some predictions. We know what's going to happen in the Big 12. There's been a lot of talk. Why aren't they in the top 4? Because their schedule is backloaded.
Right.
You know, TCU has to play Oklahoma State, I believe, this week.
Right.
And, you know, they're going to play Baylor. Baylor's going to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What if they all beat each other? Is the Pac-12 or the Big 10 or the Big 12, which has 10 teams,
It's strange.
and the Big 10, who has like way more than 10 now?
Right.
Do they need to fix their scheduling a little bit? I understand they want big hype at the end of the season, but if they lose now, there's no coming back. Maybe if they lose earlier, like there's an excuse kind of be made. Like
Exactly.
Alabama, they lost early in the season, so now they wrote the
Got
ship.
some good, exactly. Went and blowed out Georgia at Georgia. Got some key wins. Blowed some non-conference teams out.
It seems like the Big 12 is not helping themselves get into this playoff.
Big 12 didn't help themselves last year with the tied Big 12 champions. Instead of just picking one.
Should have just picked Baylor.
Exactly.
I thought TCU was better, but Baylor deserved it for beating
For them to
them.
win. Right. And I don't think anybody will argue that point. It's in the head-to-head, who won? This team won.
Do you have a problem with Notre Dame being 5? For some reason, I do have a problem with Notre Dame being 5. I don't understand what they've done. I understand they barely lost to Clemson.
Right. I have a problem with Baylor. I have a problem with Notre Dame being 5, mainly because of Temple almost got them this week.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of watching that game before I took baby girl. After I took baby girl trick-or-treating Saturday. And it was a great game. And for people who's been sleeping on Temple, mainly because they're kind of like a basketball school, what they didn't know that this team plays a pro-style offense. And they went in there and gave it their best shot. Played to win a game. At the end of the day, it didn't happen for them, but that's a good team that they have.
Coming up on the Sports Machine, we have NBA talk. What's happening last night and what do we see in the future right here on the Sports Machine. It is time for the Sports Scene Sports Ticker and college basketball. University of North Carolina guard Marcus Page is expected to miss 3 or 4 weeks after suffering a fracture in his non-shooting hand earlier this week. On the pro level, it was a busy night in the NBA. The Pacers came away with a close win, 100-98 over the Celtics. The Wizards had a big fourth quarter and a big night from Bradley Beal to win against the Spurs, 102-99. The Hawks won big over the Nets, 101-87. The Knicks struggled in the second half, losing to the Cavaliers 96-86 in an overtime game. The Rockets beat the Magic 119-114. The 76ers remain winless, losing to the Bucks 91-87. The Raptors still haven't lost a game, winning against the Thunder 103-98. The Suns blew out the Kings 118-97. The Trailblazers won against the Jazz 108-92 behind Damian Lillard's big night, dropping 35 points. And the Warriors continued their success, beating the Clippers 112-108. This is Brian Franklin on the Sports Machine. It's Dwayne Lundeen.
Yes, sir.
Just went over the college football playoff rankings, in which Clemson came out number 1, shocking a few people. I think it's time we move to the NBA.
The association.
I can't really decide what the biggest thing that happened in the NBA last night was, but maybe I'll just start off with the Warriors beating the Clippers. It was a big game. We all know they're kind of a rivalry. Mm-hmm. They have been as of late because they're both really good.
Right.
I think the Clippers mainly lost because you had Paul Pierce go 0 for 3 from the three-point line.
Right.
Jamal Crawford struggled.
Right. Streaky
guys that they kind of need to score when it comes to games like this when it's close.
Right.
Plus, the other team had Stephen Curry.
I tend to think that some people will write this game off. Oh, it's nothing. It's still early in the season. But once again, Golden State, what we just say with Ohio State a second ago, when you're the champion, you're going to get some teams' best. And some team, you become their measuring stick. They become a measuring stick to see where you are up against them. And so when you go out there and key guys who you're looking to have get points from to help you when you're struggling, go out there and struggle even more, it's kind of hard to gauge where you are.
I agree to a point. But like you said, the NBA is a long season. Mm-hmm. Blake Griffin didn't have a particularly good game.
He got stuffed. Someone gave him Festus Zeeley let him know, hey, Thanksgiving ain't here yet, but if you're going to come in here with that turkey, I'm going to stuff it.
Harrison Barnes, very quality game. Kind of underappreciated on that team. 17 points, 5 for 8, 2 for 3 from the three-point line, 5 free throws on 5 attempts with plus 9 rebounds. Against the Clipper team that's supposed to be strong down low with DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, you need players like that.
Let me ask you a question real quick. How do you feel about the new Clipper symbol?
Before the show, I mentioned that it looks like the game Snake.
Nokia ought to go sue the Clippers and let them know we want our symbol back.
The C looks like it's trying to avoid its own tail. If you haven't seen the Clippers symbol, go look at it so you understand what I'm talking about.
It looks like something out of one of the old school Nintendo games. I don't like it either. I looked at it and was like, it almost remind me of like the Autobot symbol almost. When you look at the Autobot symbol or even the Decepticon symbol, how it's like a square. It's like a square or a cube. But it has like shaped out to make a different type of symbol.
I don't agree.
It do.
I do not, because I think the Autobot and Decepticon symbols look way cooler than the Clippers does.
Well, when you put it like that, good sir, I agree with you. We're back to the same.
Also in the NBA last night, the Wizards got a big game from Bradley Beal. Came through in the clutch, beat the Spurs. I've been telling people about the Wizards for 2 years, and they keep kind of get into the playoffs, but not able to compete with the Cavaliers, the Bulls, teams of that nature. I still believe, although it is hard when they go up against those elite teams, but maybe tonight they took a step forward by beating an elite team.
Earlier, we was reading a report about the Washington Wizards putting Bradley Beal's contract extension on hold, awaiting the Kevin Durant's decision. So, when you've built a team in a draft like the right way, like Washington has done, like Oklahoma City has done, like Golden State has done, do you go ahead and get him, Bradley Beal, his extension now and know that you have a solid team regardless if you get Durant or not? Or you go ahead and stick to the role you got going now, waiting on Kevin Durant?
I would most definitely make sure Bradley Beal was signed.
Exactly.
Bradley Beal is not on the level of Kevin Durant nor Russell Westbrook,
Right.
those types of players. But alongside of John Wall, both of those players can compete with a Russell
top
Westbrook
league.
and
Right.
Kevin Durant.
Right. They're not superstars, but he's a star.
I've mentioned it before. I think the Wizards' problem is down low, not in the backcourt.
Right.
Kevin Durant's not bringing you anything down low.
Right.
That's nothing against Kevin Durant. It's just not his game.
Not unless it's fast break.
Also in the NBA, the Raptors, I think, are, like I say, it's 5 games in. It's nothing much. But it is kind of a shocker. They're 5-0. Just beat the Thunder pretty. Fourth quarter, they outscored the Thunder 30-17.
Right.
DeMar DeRozan, 28 points. Outscoring Kevin Durant, who had 27.
Once again, didn't the Raptors come out like this, like gangbusters last year? Faded out a bit at the end of the season.
They had a few injuries last season.
Right.
The Raptors are a team kind of like the Wizards. They're better than the bottom tier in the Eastern Conference. They're not the 6, 7, 8 seed that's under 500.
Right.
But they're not Cleveland or Chicago.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if they can take the step to compete with those teams.
Like I said, they're playing in the Eastern Conference. You know, you can make some noise, but the fact of the matter is, you're not the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference or in the NBA. But then you're in the middle of the pack. So do you see this team making some major noise in the playoffs? Because I don't. They'll be there. They'll get to the next round because they'll play a back end team that makes the playoffs, and in the East where they probably have a few games below 500 make the playoffs. And
Depending on who they play in the second round, they could make it deeper. Like, it all depends on seeding. They're not beating Cleveland in the second round, but I do think they could compete with Chicago, Atlanta, and take them 7, if not win, because there's not that big of a separation in those teams, in my opinion.
so in the second round of playoffs, if they play Washington, if they play Washington, if they play Washington, if they play Cleveland, who else would you have in the top 4? Washington,
Chicago, Atlanta. Chicago's kind of iffy, but I think Chicago will be.
Were you expecting more at Atlanta? Because I was.
They're 5-1.
5-1. Thought they'd be sick because they got handed to them the first game. Out the back, but sometimes it ain't always how you start, it's how you finish. So
With the Hawks, the situation with the Hawks is the difference between them and the Spurs. You know, with the Spurs, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan,
off the bench.
Kawhi Leonard, these guys can make those shots at the end of the game, make those clutch shots, make clutch decisions, especially the way Kawhi Leonard has grown even more on the offensive end. we know that they can make those plays.
Right.
The Hawks, to me, don't have that yet. They don't know if, as much as I like Al Horford, Al Horford hasn't proven to be that end of the game guy. I like Teague, but he hasn't either.
Right. But then don't you also feel like Horford has been playing out of position
Whole career.
his whole career, right?
It's not Al Horford's. Al Horford's
A 4.
above average player. I'm not gonna go great, but
Right.
he's one. If he played at 4, he probably would be one of the top 4s in the game.
Right.
Coming up, we're gonna go around a different league in the NFL. All right. So my question about the NFL is: are the Jets for real with Fitzpatrick? He says he's gonna start. I thought this was big news. Everyone else did not think so.
It's big news for them because he was the reason why for a minute everybody was picking them to compete with the Jets in the playoffs. Everybody still had New England winning the division, but they were going to be a team that could possibly make the playoff, make it in a wild card and upset some people. Upset a couple of teams.
You know how I feel about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Uh-huh.
I feel like he's been kind of done wrong in his career.
Right.
I don't believe he's a top tier quarterback, but I believe he doesn't deserve to be shipped around everywhere.
He's doing a much better job of being a bus driver than Brandon Wheaton and Matt Castle.
It's because Ryan Fitzpatrick is a starting quarterback.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you told me that Ryan Fitzpatrick would at the time have this team competing to be in the playoffs, I would have laughed at your face. I knew they had a good defense, a pretty good defense with Revis and Cromartie on the outside, a good front seven. I know the defense is a top 5 defense. But once again, my problem with the Jets was always the offense. You know my saying. A great offense can look out for a terrible defense. But a great defense cannot make up for a terrible offense.
I want you to tell that to the Giants after getting roasted by Drew Brees. That a great offense can
broke a record.
overcome a terrible defense.
And the crazy thing about it is, B, when I saw that game, I knew that the Giants' defense was 32nd in the league in pass. But I didn't think it was going to go down like that. I had Benjamin Watson on my team. I got like 20-something points from him. And I was looking at Brandon Cooks and Snead like, nah, crap. Could have won 5 stacks. Sorry. Got $10 though.
We just mentioned the Jets and how they're competing for a wild card spot because there's no way they're catching up to the Patriots.
No.
So on the other wild card spot, we have about 4 or 5 teams deep trying to get there. The Raiders,
Right. Who's looking for real?
the Pittsburgh Steelers just suffered an injury, but still look like they could probably do something with D'Angelo Williams.
Right.
Then you have the Bills and the Dolphins. I got the Raiders and the Jets coming out as AFC wild cards.
See, to be honest with you, I have the Raiders, but I also have the Steelers making it. Mainly, and I said that because prior to this, I didn't know what the Jets quarterback situation was going to look like with Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith. Both of them being out and possibly missing some games. Because once again, like I said before, I said a million times, this defense can get some stops, make some plays, but if they're out there on the field all game long, it's only a matter of time before the dam breaks.
Brandon Marshall, for some reason, decided to say that Geno Smith deserves a second chance.
Had he not owed old dude some money, he wouldn't have got his jaw broke. PWIO. You owed that man $900, you pay him $900. maybe you'd have been starting today. But Fitzy come in, plays productive football, and has got this team competing for a spot to make the playoffs. So do Geno Smith deserves a second chance? He do if Fitzpatrick can't play, which looks like he's going to play this week. But to sit back and say that Geno Smith needs to be in the game over Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's a look, to be real, that's disrespectful.
Really disrespectful.
I mean, Fitzpatrick ain't done anything to lose the job. Geno Smith ain't done anything to come and win the job.
I would like to tell Brandon Marshall, if you like getting your numbers, if you like getting the ball, don't ever say that again.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Say it again. Say something else. Oh, say something else. Say something else.
It's crazy because I like B. Marsh. I like the way he's
I do
turned
too.
himself around, but lately he's been bumping up against the wall of the really though.
Say it's close.
He's real close. He's playing with fire right now.
Go to the NFC side. Wild card battle. The Atlanta Falcons 6-2. Minnesota Vikings 5-2. Got to throw in St. Louis Rams the way they're playing as of late. And then of course you have Seattle last year. Started off a little slow, got better. Then New Orleans Saints just came out with 7 touchdowns from Drew Brees.
Right. After they was looking like they was going to be a top 3 pick.
It looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
If anything, they probably should have hoped. Because I don't think New Orleans Saints are catching the other teams for the wild card.
I don't think so neither.
Nothing worse than drafting late, even though you're not very good.
Yeah, tell me about it. So you feel like they should have been team tank. Okay, hey, Drew, just stay out the game. We know your shoulder's toe up. You're on the verge of retiring, so just let nature take its course.
Where's Trayvon at?
No. You know what? Yes, I think I wouldn't mind seeing Trayvon Boykin in that offense with that coach. Only if that coach is there. Only if Sean Payton's there. Because he'll know how to utilize Trayvon Boykin. Any place else? No. Unless it was Ken Wisenhunt. Who, never mind. Tennessee. Come on, man.
Not his fault.
Not his fault at all. Like, you actually had a good offensive coordinator and a head coach that was actually playing, that was calling plays, that was essential to what this quarterback could do. They wasn't asking him to do too much. They wasn't asking him to do too little, but just watch your turnovers, manage the game. If it's there, throw it. If it's not, make a play. It was real simple. This or that. And they go and fire him. Ken Wisenhunt is a great offensive mind, and he's a great head coach to me.
Great seems a little strong. You know, end up 1-6 from great.
It's not his fault that his quarterback was injured. Not his fault. At times, the defense just falls asleep at the wheel.
When you're the head coach, it is your fault.
Head coach can only do so much. It's up to the players to make it happen.
Oh, I agree with that. 'Cause everyone knows how I feel about the Minnesota Dolphins coach. Like, those
Right.
players quit on the coach.
Right.
And then when the new coach, they just magically got good again.
Yeah, but
All right.
everybody can magically get good again when you're playing against two teams that was more than likely is going to be in the top 5. Speaking of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans.
Houston Texans are tied for the AFC South lead.
God. You want to talk about it. And I remember everybody was talking about the NFC East is so putrid. It's just horrible. Oh, really? I guess y'all ain't looked over at the AFC South. Get out of here. Haters.
As we go into the world of the haters.
Back to the NFC wild card. Is it Atlanta and Minnesota?
As of right now, yes.
They seem like the favorite. I'm not just a total believer in Minnesota though.
I think Minnesota's for real. I think head coach Zimmer has got their team on the right track. And they also have Teddy Bridgewater. He's playing the game the right way, managing.
I like Teddy Bridgewater. I said it when the draft happened. He would be the best quarterback to come out of that draft. Even though he's dropping because he did bad at his pro day.
All because he didn't
Watch the tape.
Wear the gloves, didn't wear the gloves. It doesn't matter. Can he play or can he not play? I think sometimes they nitpick so much to the point to where people screw themselves out of a good player.
I believe it happens all the time. For some reason, I think Seattle might sneak in just because it seems to be what they do.
Right. But for me, it's like, this is going to sound like a homer, and everybody knows I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, but once again, the Cowboys is one game out of the division lead in the NFC East. Just want to point that out. They can somehow, some way, just get a win. Just get a win this week to turn your luck around. Because you guys went 0 for nothing for October after starting 2-0. I mean, I never would have thought that this team would go 0 for nothing, like minus Romo. And I remember all those times people was, we could do better without Romo. Oh, really? This would be a 0-17 if it wasn't for the fact that Romo played and brought us from behind in the first game and then turned around and got hurt against Philly in week 2. Be an 0-17. The whole staff should be walked out of the building. You gonna tell me we miss our quarterback and we gonna be 0-7? Get out of here. I apologize. I got a little emotional.
Really emotional.
I did, but man, yeah, I did. Breathe. 1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
I hope you're ready.
I'm green.
Because coming up, you gotta go. Coming up, we do have the Heisman talk, Leonard Fournette, and the dude we were just talking about, Trayvon Boykin, on the Sports Machine.
Your Sports Machine news update is being brought to you by the Soul Society Studios, putting some soul into their work. The NFL was hit by what seemed like an unprecedented rash of serious injuries in Week 8. Coincidence? Or is it something else? Former NFL quarterback Brady Quinn thinks the problem might have to do with supplements like HGH that make the players bigger but more prone to injury. The Pittsburgh Steelers are screaming foul play on the tackle that injured star running back Le'Veon Bell, ending his season with a badly torn MCL. Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict denies the claim made by Steelers offensive lineman Ramon Foster and say he and Le'Veon Bell are good friends and that he didn't mean to hurt him. Close quote. Seahawks wide receiver Ricardo Lockett will miss the rest of the 2015 season. Lockett sustained ligament damage in his neck that required surgery to stabilize. He has full motion and feeling in all extremities and his prognosis is good. Things keep getting worse for J.T. Barrett. The Ohio State quarterback was arrested early Saturday morning on misdemeanor charges of operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Barrett will be suspended for the game against Minnesota on November 7th. Coach Urban Meyer said Barrett will have to complete counseling through the school and would also forfeit his financial aid for the summer term. The Washington Nationals appear to be on the verge of hiring Dusty Baker as their manager. Baker and the Nats are said to be close to a deal to replace fired Matt Williams. This was your Sports Machine news update. I am Dwayne Dean. On deck, the Heisman Watch. Only on the Sports Machine.
Talked about the college football playoff. Around the NBA, Stephen Curry looking like a monster. The NFL, a lot of close wild card matchups. It's time to get into the Heisman. Number 1, for everybody, not for some, Leonard Fournette. It's funny I say everybody, but if you look at ESPN's experts poll, there's one person that has Leonard Fournette second and Trayvon Boykin first. I don't know who it was.
Yes. As you heard just a second ago, I'm a big supporter of Trayvon Boykin. A couple of teams I would like to see him go to when he gets drafted. He is a senior quarterback coming out this year. One place I hope he doesn't get drafted to, the San Francisco 49ers. That hot mess. They're like a THOT. That's what the San Francisco 49ers stand for this right now. THOTs.
You have Leonard Fournette ahead of Trayvon Boykin, correct?
I do.
All right.
And I do. Not something I just want to be thrilled about, but
Don't hate on young man.
I'm not hating on him. Yo, his game is strong. He's looked like a man playing a grown man playing amongst his boys. He should be allowed to come out this year, but you know how that go. NCAA get all the money. Players want to come out early to make some money, and it's looked at as, oh no, you guys should stay and get your education. You know, you stay in school. We're paying you this scholarship to come play football here, and even though you may have a Nick Chubb like injury, you know you're still getting a free education.
It's not free.
Yeah, right.
It's not free education.
I guess someone did tell NCAA that a lot of the college graduates, some of them can't always find a job in their field to work, and when they try to go to smaller jobs, there's this word called overqualify. But back to the Heisman. That's another story for another day. I apologize. Yes, I do have Leonard Fournette at 1. Trayvon Boykin at 2. Josh Dobson, TCU receiver, coming in at 3. And that's my top 3.
I have Josh Doctson ahead of Trayvon Boykin.
It's your pick. It's your Heisman to watch.
Trayvon Boykin has 2,927 passing yards on the season. Josh Doctson has 1,250 receiving yards on the season. So that is over a third of his yards are because of Josh Doctson. Trayvon Boykin has thrown 28 touchdowns, and I believe Josh Doctson has 14 receiving touchdowns. So that's half of Trayvon Boykin's production on passing touchdowns.
Can you blame him? He's a 6'4", 6'5" monster. I throw the ball to him all day too to keep my numbers right.
I don't blame him, but Josh Doctson deserves more credit than Trayvon Boykin then.
Well, who else would get him the ball then?
I don't know who the backup is.
My point exactly. If Trayvon Boykin goes down, so does TCU season.
Not
down the toilet, dude.
Not Josh Doctson's numbers though. Probably a little bit. They might get down
a
to
lot of it.
Corey Coleman level.
Corey Coleman.
ESPN has Corey Coleman ranked ahead of Josh Doctson for some reason in this poll. In fact,
Josh Doctson ain't even on the list.
Not even on the list. Corey Coleman has 962 receiving yards.
They have Leonard Fournette, Trayvon Boykin, Corey Coleman, Ezekiel Elliott. Now, if he would actually be higher on my list if Ohio State would just learn to hand him the doggone ball. But anyway, Derrick Henry, running back from Alabama, wherever he comes. Christian McCaffrey from Stanford, and Dalvin Cook. Rounding out the rest of the list.
I like Dalvin Cook, but when they lost, it kind of took him back a lot.
Right.
And I've seen Derrick Henry run. He's just an Alabama running back.
Right.
So
let's not forget about Eddie Lacy.
For all the NFL scouts out there, most Alabama running backs don't come out and just be successful.
Mark Ingram, he's been average.
I think he's been above average this year.
Yeah, this year. But career-wise.
Probably below average, actually.
All right.
Compared to his expectation.
Right. As a Alabama.
I'm not sure if I have Trayvon Boykin even ahead of Ezekiel Elliott on my list.
You so disrespectful, bro. You so disrespectful.
As we go into the world of the haters.
I'm not hating.
Trayvon Boykin is to TCU what Vince Young was to Texas, and I stand by that statement.
Say something else.
I'm gonna say it. You doggone right, Pinky. You don't tell me what to do. I'm grown.
I don't understand.
She don't need to understand. It's a lot of stuff she don't understand.
You just compared Trayvon Boykin to Vince Young.
So what's wrong with that? Help me understand, please.
Vince
I don't
Young-
understand. Please help me understand.
Vince Young carried Texas. to the
Trayvon
national
Boykin
champion-
is not carrying.
not to the national championship. Have you seen the recent college football playoff poll that we just talked about earlier?
They had him at 8 for crying out loud. Whatever they had in that room that they was in Grapevine, whatever they was smoking, they should not sell it. Dope man slipped in the ooh-wee. Real bad. TCU at 8. Man, let's be for real here. I'm an SMU fan. But I got love for Texas sports. I got love for sports in general. But TCU at 8, man, come on. Come on, man. That's in my Chris Carter voice. CC.
I think you're just a little bit too much of a homer.
Oh, that's how I start. That's how I start. He's a homer. He just wants to see them in the mix. The Big 12. No, man. If they deserve to be there, they deserve to be there.
And they don't.
They don't? Okay.
They almost lost to Texas Tech. They're on some luck. Your boy Trayvon Boykin overthrew Josh Doxson somehow. And it ended up getting tipped in the air.
It happens, man.
They got lucky.
It happens.
That was almost,
Overthrow. Peyton Manning's had some overthrows. Tom Brady's had some overthrows. It happens, dude.
It does. Usually not the last second, but, you know.
So we're not going to get on Tom Brady to overthrow too. No, okay.
There was no overthrow.
He overthrew it.
No.
5'11", man.
It hit him right in the hands.
It hit him in one hand.
No. It hit him in the hands. I think you should go back and watch the play.
I saw the play. I was watching the Super Bowl. We watched the Super Bowl. Don't down me like that. We watched it together.
I'm just saying, maybe you haven't seen the replay in a while. You forgot.
No, I'm not listening to the Roy Jones son. I haven't forgotten nothing. They must have forgot, not me. I remember it vividly.
I've mentioned this before, and people say I over-exaggerate a little bit, but Leonard Fournette, I feel like if he got hurt, he should still win the Heisman.
How?
If he went Nick Chubb down, I think he should still win it.
No. How he gonna win a Heisman if he not playing?
Because that's how dominant he is.
Wow, that's how dominant he is. You know
It
how many
is.
dominant guys done went down? Did you feel the same way last year about Todd Gurley?
Todd Gurley wasn't dominant like this.
No. But he was still the best running back. But last year, right?
He was the best running back, but player-wise, it wasn't just so much of a difference. Right now, it's not even close between him and Trayvon Boykin.
I feel like you said that with a little bit of disdain.
I did, because I don't think Trayvon Boykin's second. I think Doxson should be second. And then
What's your
Ezekiel
beef
Elliott.
with Trayvon Boykin? What's your beef with Trayvon Boykin, man? Let's be for real. Let's just come on out with it right now. Confession. I'll be Dr. Phil.
It doesn't take Dr. Phil to realize what the problem is. It's the fact that I feel like Josh Doxson doesn't get enough credit because of Trayvon Boykin. So I underplayed Trayvon Boykin a lot.
Even though he is the big reason why
He's not the big reason. Oh, for the team, yeah.
Right.
But not for Josh Doxson's numbers.
Oh my God. Y'all heard him, right? Y'all heard it first. He said he's not a big reason for Josh Doxson numbers, even though he gets him the ball. He get him the ball,
He would
fam.
still have those numbers, I believe.
Okay. I agree to disagree with you, sir. Trayvon Boykin, senior quarterback Trayvon Boykin is that dude.
He's really good. Not quite as good as Josh Doxson, in my opinion.
Already.
You know, fine. Agree to disagree. There's no point in talking there.
No,
Coming up, go to the pro level. Johnny Manziel looks to start right here on Sports Machine. Sports Machine with Brian and Dean.
this guy over here.
Just got done talking about Josh Doxson dominating college football.
There you go. There you go.
I got you. Also mentioned the college football playoff, in which Trayvon Boykin carried the TCU Horned Frogs all the way up to number 8. And of course, we talked about the NBA and the NFL. Back into the NFL tonight. Cleveland goes into Cincinnati. Johnny Manziel gets the start. Can Johnny Manziel lead an upset to give Cincinnati their first loss?
Nope. In the Battle of Ohio, Cincinnati's going to have a field day. I picked up Giovanni Bernard, Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Mohamed Sanu. I'm looking to have a field day when I look. After we get off work tomorrow, I'm looking to have, man, over 150 fantasy points just with those couple of players alone. Cleveland is going to get whooped so bad. The Red Rifle is for real coming out of TCU, where Trayvon Boykin broke the Red Rifle's records. And the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton is playing at a high level this season. Some may say MVP level.
I'm sorry.
I said it.
Is Tom Brady still in the league? Can't remember.
Yeah, he's still in the league.
Oh, okay. Roger that.
Doesn't mean you can't put his name in the mix just because Tom Brady's in the league. The Golden Boy.
You can put his name in the mix just
I
way
am Tom
lower.
Brady. I have 4 titles. Man, get out of here. But I can't even hate Tom Brady. I was mocking him, but I'm just doing it just to get on your nerves.
Let's see. You just went Trayvon Boykin over there.
No. Trayvon Boykin is that dude. I'm going to scream that to the high.
He's the best quarterback in college football. But he's not Vince Young.
Once again, the Thursday night football games hasn't been close. Just about every game has been a blowout. I don't see any reason why this won't be a blowout. The Bengals offense is playing the best it has ever played. You have Andy Dalton with 153 completions on 231 attempts for almost 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Giovanni Bernard has 78 carries for 434 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the main man, AJ Mean Green, 46 receptions, 649 yards, 4 touchdowns on the season.
It'll be a close matchup between him and Joe Hayden, or is he just going to dominate Joe Hayden?
Joe Hayden is an underrated cornerback, but I think they're going to move AJ unless they're going to just have Joe Hayden on him the whole game, like follow him around. Hey, you know something? Everybody's big on this island deal. You know, come on my side of the field, don't you? Just like you said before, that's what made Champ Bailey one of the best cornerbacks in the league when he was playing, was the fact that he was the blanket. He was an assassin. He took out your guy, and he followed him whether he was in a slot, whether he was on the left or right side of the field. A lot of these cornerbacks is just one side corners. I don't think he just dominates. I don't think he just dominates Joe Hayden. But then again, Andy Dalton is going to be able to put the ball around so much to the point to where it ain't going to even matter. AJ Green is going to get his touches. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get his yards. I say he has a touchdown. I at least give him 1 touchdown. I think the sleeper is Mohamed Sanu. He's going to have some good. He's going to get his catches. He may have 2 touchdowns.
I think it's time people stop sleeping on Mohamed Sanu. Like, he's not a sleeper anymore. Like, he's for real.
Right.
I mean,
He's a legit second guy.
With AJ Green next to him, he is for real.
Right.
It's kind of like Anquan Bolden was when Larry Fitzgerald was.
Exactly.
Right now, the line is they have Cincinnati by 11.5 points. If you just had to, you think Cincinnati wins by more or less than that?
More.
Yeah, I have to say that too.
And I say that because, once again, Cincinnati's defense, they have playmakers all over the field. They can bend but don't break. They can get stops when they need to get stops. But most importantly, Johnny Manziel's getting the start. At times, he don't seem like he's used to the speed of the NFL game.
Because every time he gets on the football field, he has to get taken off.
Exactly. Well, he's hurt. So it's like, all right, you still haven't adapted to the game, to the pro game yet. So if they can if their defense can force 3-and-outs or hold them to minimum drives at best, that means the Cleveland Browns defense will be out on the field all game, where they will be susceptible to run, pass. We might even see a special teams touchdown.
Wow. Do you have a hatred for the Browns?
No, I don't.
All right.
I really don't. I don't have nothing against them. This is the way I see it, because they have a average defense in Cleveland, but average defense cannot make up for a putrid offense. If Josh McCown was playing, I'd say I would take. Now I'd still take the over. I'm not gonna sit here and spout like that. I still take the over, even though Josh McCown would actually be more of a threat because of the fact that he can get the ball to some of their playmakers.
I think Cleveland Browns defense this year has been worse than it's ever been. The last few years, Cleveland Browns defense has been up there, and they've been in close games. They just couldn't win.
Right.
Didn't have the quarterback to come through in the clutch like that. But they're giving up 27 points a game this year.
You give up 27 points a game because your offense, when they do decide to come back to make anything happen, it ain't till late in the game. Because for the first 3 quarters, they was out there on the field majority of the game.
Plus, Cleveland Browns have one of the worst rushing attacks I think I've seen in the NFL in a while.
No one knows who's going to be the starting running back at any moment. That's why I never pick one of their running backs. Never. I think, in my opinion, I think Cincinnati wins this game easily. And all I'll do is hope that the receivers get the numbers early, so that way Giovanni Bernard can just rush and continue to pick up numbers for me right now. Because I do have him as one of my running backs this week, along with Devontae Freeman, who is just fantasy football points gold.
I think we both agree Cincinnati's going to win this game pretty handily.
Mm-hmm.
Just get on the top of the Cleveland Browns. Is it time that they just start Johnny Manziel the rest of the season and don't even worry about when McCown comes back? I understand McCown has played well.
Right.
McCown is probably a better quarterback than Johnny Manziel right now.
Uh-huh.
But you're 2-6. You're not going to the playoffs. There's no point in having a 36-year-old quarterback in there that's not going to be your future. You need to find out what you have in Johnny Manziel now before the draft, before you realize, do we need to pick somebody up?
I agree with you 100% on that. Every time the Cleveland Browns has had a top 3 or top 5 pick, they've almost always selected a quarterback, which is a recipe for disaster. They need to know right now if Johnny Manziel, is the quarterback of the future for them. It's vital to this franchise. But then again, I mean, they need help all across the offense. Like I said before, their defense looked putrid this year or below average this year, mainly because of the fact that you don't know what you're getting out of your offense. They was just about to have a fire sale and trade off Joe Thomas, a quarterback's best friend. Second best friend is the left tackle, who they was just about to get rid of. We all know that the left tackle guards the quarterback's blind side. And they was ready to ship him to Denver, but for some reason the deal fell through. Otherwise, Denver would have gotten Joe Thomas to protect Peyton Manning's blind side, along with getting Peyton Manning another weapon in Vernon Davis.
I agree 110%. I do believe that Johnny Manziel needs to start. You got to find out eventually.
Right.
You're just putting off the inevitable right now. It's that time. Things of sports. So when you say really though, who you want to go first?
I'll let you have it before I had one first yesterday.
All right. My really though is Vernon Davis. You know, Vernon Davis recently got traded
Right.
from San Francisco to Denver. No problem with that. But he goes on to say, everyone's asking that question. Where did I go? San Francisco, look at the year when I started to drop off. What happened to the team? If the team's not having success, chances are I'm not going to have success. Might have been a little bit of excuses there, but I don't have a huge problem with that because it's kind of true. Went on to say, how did he feel about going to Denver? Last time I felt that energy was when we were winning those games. We had that winning attitude to just go out and win games. You just got there. You're not a part of them winning games. You're not part of this energy you speak of.
You was a part of a team that's the ooey gooey stuff at the bottom of the barrel, sir.
You cannot talk about the feeling that it is in Denver and how it resembles the 2013 49ers that went to the Super Bowl.
No.
It's funny, when I heard the trade, I was like, this is good for Vernon Davis. Peyton Manning always feeds the tight ends, plus he can't throw deep or consistently throw deep anymore, it looks like. I thought Vernon Davis was going to go off, but now I got really dull because he's comparing himself, his previous team, to his new team, and this new team has nothing to do with you and their success. You're just an addition. You're a plus. You're not part of that team, really. You're not part of that success, that energy when you was winning seasons. You can go.
My really though is on Freddie Roach, well-known trainer for Manny Pacquiao and a lot of other great fighters like Miguel Cotto, who I believe was going to win this month against Canelo Alvarez.
Canelo got him.
Freddie Roach said he think that Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather will have another go at it, and he does not think that this next fight, which was reported as his last fight in April, he doesn't think it's going to be his last. I have to really do him because we all know, those of us who follow boxing know that it's been well documented that Freddie Roach and Floyd Mayweather don't have a lot of people like him anyway. But Freddie Roach has been one of the guys who just can't stand Mayweather. And I think he's still bitter after the fact that Floyd Mayweather just dominated him, his fighter,
As we go into the world of
and
the haters.
made his fighter look like garbage. I mean, made him look lower than a snake's belly. Do you hear me? Beat him up. He didn't beat him up. He beat him up. You gotta put the up in it. If you don't put the up in it, it's not right. There's also rumored that coming up in April that Manny Pacquiao may want to fight Terrence Crawford.
Don't do it.
Manny Pacquiao wants no part of Terrence Crawford.
Zero.
No parts of him. I actually was starting to feel bad for Pacquiao that people was even considering that fight as his last fight out. Let him cherry pick some guy who we can knock out, go out, raise his hand like, hey, I had a great career. Y'all want him to fight Terrence Crawford, a young, hungry Terrence Crawford, guy who is a mean guy. Like everybody, this dude is mean beyond mean. Like you look up mean, you see Terrence Crawford's face. So once again, I don't want to see Floyd Mayweather fight Manny Pacquiao again. But if they want to go at it again, I'm all fine for making sure that the Pac-Tars get shut up again when Mayweather cleans his clock. Just dominate this dude. Now, if they fight again, I hope he knocks him out early just to make another $300-something million and send everybody home with the bitter beer face. You should see my face right now. I'm so serious right now.
Facial expressions could go through a microphone.
Oh man, like just beat the snot out of him because people hate on Floyd Mayweather. They hate Floyd Mayweather for being.
That's it for today. You're gonna have to go off on that note. Can't talk about Floyd Mayweather all night.
Greatest boxer of his generation.
Coming up tomorrow, we will review the beatdown Cincinnati will probably give Cleveland right here on the Sports Machine.